Let's call to order the November 6th meeting of the Planning Agency. If everyone would please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Do we have an applicant before us for St.
Yes.
George's Coptic Church? Thank you.
Tom Lingate here with Lingate Engineering, what we call 2907 Jolly Road, which is the church, which is right across the street from the community center. The church received zoning approval, I'm going to say 2 or 3 years ago. I was not involved. And this is now the next step, a preliminary plan for a redevelopment of that lot. So the plan is to take the existing church and demolish it. And all the existing paving is going to change. And you'll have a new, larger church with a, I'll call it a more modern parking lot. Instead of having the in and out separated, there'll be one driveway through and parking all around the church. And this church parking, the building dimensions, all received some various zoning approvals, like I say, 2 or 3 years ago. And this is just following through. So nothing on this plan changes that zoning. We're not asking for any additional relief. We're not changing any relief. Pretty much the plan that the zoning hearing board saw, this is the same plan. We have submitted to the township engineer, township engineer, sanitary engineer, traffic engineer, staff. We have some few comments left, but I think we're at the point where we can ask for preliminary approval, and we'll deal with all the other comments come final plan. This is only preliminary. It's not a preliminary / final. The church wants to get preliminary and then take some time to get all their financing together because it's a pretty major project. This church has a basement, it has a first floor, and then it has a larger kind of a structure on top of it. So it's a substantial structure. It's going to take quite a bit of money. And they'd rather get their preliminary approval and then have a couple of years to get their financing in place. Or maybe sooner, but that's where we're at.
Anything else to present at this time?
No.
Okay. Let's see, and Lonnie is elsewhere, so we won't have him this evening. So Joel, do you have anything at this time or anything you're able to comment on given Lonnie's absence?
No, they have no major concerns other than, I think it's maybe one minor comment on the review letter anyway.
Yeah, Tim's got a comment. We have to change our proposed shade tree size. And then there's a comment or two on the traffic and just about some signage. And I think the fire marshal had some signage. He wants double-sided signs. Those
Yeah.
are all absolutely
Yeah.
probably.
Yeah, everything seems very, very basic corrections.
And it's all will comply?
Absolutely.
Okay. Very good. Yes, ma'am?
No questions or comments from me. I do apologize for missing the beginning half of your presentation, but I did read the review letters and I'm excited for you to progress with your project.
Thank you. Monica?
What is the status of the sidewalk issues and review letters?
I talked to Tim, and the waiver will be not pursued. And I looked at that, so I saw Tim's letter, and he didn't think the waiver was a good idea. I can't remember exact words. And I talked to him, I said, okay, you're right. And then I looked at it, and by the time the 2 driveways are closed and a new driveway is built, about 75% of the sidewalk is replaced anyway. So I said, okay, now I'm really asking for a tiny little waiver. It doesn't make any sense. He's right. So let's remove that waiver. And along with that waiver was the sidewalk, the curb issue. Because, and you can see it pretty well on the existing additions, like I think I have it in here. Yeah, so, there's these 2 entrances that closed. Means I got to put new curb and sidewalk in those. And then the middle one goes in, that's all new curb. And by the time I did, I actually sent a picture over to the church. And I'm like, when I looked at this, really, it's not much new or what I'm going to call it extra sidewalks, so it doesn't make any sense to have a waiver.
That's it for me.
Fair enough. Sorry?
Just a question on, Joel, on the calculation of who's going to have a finished basement. Does that alter the parking requirements in any way? I mean, has that been calculated in?
As long as it's not I'll have to look. I don't think so.
Well, no, what
Because
they,
the
what
ones that-
they, I was at the zoning hearing board, but I did review the decision. So what the parking looked at was, what's the maximum parking on like Christmas holidays, or, any kind of holiday? What's the maximum parking if there's an event? What's the maximum parking, normally? And it took the worst case of that and said, okay, that's the worst case, let's meet that. It wasn't, let's make them all together as one mass. Like, you're not gonna have Sunday services and an event.
Simultaneous
Yeah.
events. And it drops off in the back, as I recall.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, the land.
So that's actually a walkout basement in the back.
Okay,
Yep.
yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah. Okay, good.
Thank you. Michael?
Questions, thanks.
Great.
You had stated you're going to comply with all the review letters with stormwater management, impervious.
Yep.
No questions.
And I'm glad to hear there'll be curbing and sidewalks and no waivers. That's very helpful. And again, this is a preliminary plan, preliminary approval, going to move forward, seek financing, and then come back for final approval, if I'm understanding you correctly?
Yeah, well, I would say once they're financing, they feel comfortable enough to know that it's, they're at the 1 yard line, then we'll be back in for final.
Okay.
That might happen sooner than we think. That might happen in 6 months, guys. I couldn't
Sure.
tell you, but
Well, are you looking for conditional approval?
preliminary plan approval.
Okay.
Conditioned upon those letters.
Right, so typically what will happen then is they'll get that, we're gonna call that conditional approval. When the time comes, they'll clean it up, as long as all those letters end up coming back. They'll resubmit to
Yes.
me. Once it's all cleaned up, then I'll give them a thumbs up, all right, let's record this.
Yeah, exactly.
So they probably won't be back here.
Right. Well, as long
Okay.
as everything's the same.
Correct, yeah, I just want to clarify.
Any deviation, it'll come back.
Correct.
Right. Do you have anything else?
No.
No? Okay. Vernon, just wanted to give you an opportunity, if you had any questions or any statements about the application.
No.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve the conditional approval.
Second.
Second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Thank you.
Best of luck. Wish you a lot of luck with everything.
Thank you.
Certainly. All right, the only other issue we have is the May minutes. Does anybody have any questions or concerns with them? The people who can vote on that will be Greg, Tony, Joel, and myself.
Motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, we have a motion to approve. Do we have a second? Good. Thank you. All those in favor? Aye. Is that Karen? No.
Will do.
All right. And we are adjourned.